What is up, you guys? We are the Wicked Crazy Crew, and welcome to our E3 2021 recap. I, of course, am your host, Anakin JMT, and with me, I once again have the number one Blue Jays fan in the whole world, Aaron Entertainment. Aaron, how you doing?
Doing well. Yeah. Time to recap.
Oh, yeah. And then we have him, the Grandmaster himself, the number one Patriots fan, Kofi Kingston, take notice, and the guy, and Mr. Jiffy Lube, throwback, 27.
Yeah, thanks for rubbing my work in there.
I needed to come up with a new name, and nothing I came with worked. Do you have a nickname you'd rather that I call you by?
Nah, I'll tell you what everybody calls me off here. But
Okay. All right.
For me, though, I think it's a huge week, and especially with that announcement that just came with Xbox saying they're going to do an extension press conference. That's kind of a game changer. That'll be interesting on Thursday.
So let me get through the rigmarole real quick. So, yes, we are going to talk E3 2021. We're going to recap not everything. Nobody needs to talk about Coach Media
or Capcom.
Well,
maybe a little bit.
Well, we are going to mention that. But we don't. Yeah. So there is an Xbox extended thing on Thursday, but as far as I understand, that is only like a developer thing. Like they're going to be talking to developers and kind of getting updates. So it's not going to be like any new information going on like that. And so I don't think that's going to be something that necessarily we're going to need to react to. Also, I wouldn't be able to react to it because I'm busy on Thursday. But we are going to talk about this. So let me start off by asking, which conferences did you guys actually see? Because for me, I saw Ubisoft and Square Enix, Capcom, Xbox, and Nintendo. So that's 5. Aaron, you were there with me for
the same as you.
You saw the same, and throwback. What ones did you see?
I saw the Xbox one. I saw the Ubisoft one. I watched you guys do the Capcom one and the Nintendo one. So there's 4 of them.
Okay.
For me, E3 overall was disappointing for the most part.
Yeah.
All right.
Unanimous here. I would say.
And I'm old enough, and I'll say this: when I was your age, no, I'm old enough.
When gamers, man.
I remember the original Nintendo. So I mean, with E3 when I was growing up in high school and stuff, it was a huge deal. Like it was big. So like looking back in the history, 2004 when Nintendo announced the Wii and this and all these new things, it was the biggest year for Nintendo that year. I literally was hooked. I got a Wii for Christmas. I literally played bowling. I think out of all of them, and it's interesting because no hardware was offered this time, I think Nintendo took over the whole thing over Xbox real quickly because they gave you actual footage of Breath of the Wild 2, and that's a huge deal because a lot of fans were so in love with the first one with the Switch. It was interesting, and then you pull out Metroid out of nowhere, like a side-scrolling Metroid game, like a classic Metroid. Yes, that shows my age. I remember 2D Metroid, the actual stuff. I had a kid today. I was talking about this, and he's like, "What's Metroid?"
It's literally been 19 years since a new Metroid, because the last new Metroid was Metroid Fusion. Because other than that, there was Metroid Zero Mission, which was a remake of the first Metroid, and then we got a remake a few years ago on the 3DS of Samus Returns. But yeah, as far as like an actual brand new 2D Metroid, it's been a long time.
And for me though, them, like I was saying off air, and I'll say this now, them acknowledging that they're in towards the tail end of the production of Prime 4, which you have to think about it. They announced that 2 years ago.
They announced it 4 years ago. They announced it E3 2017, and then 2
It was
years
like
ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago is when they announced that they had restarted production because it was a different studio that was working on it. And then 2019, they announced Retro Studios was going to do it, and Retro is who did Metroid Prime 1 through 3. I don't think they said they were on the tail end of it though. They were still hard at work on it because if they were at the tail end, we definitely would have seen footage of it.
And for me, tail end means they're trying to get it into it. So we might see something towards some of the gaming conventions that are coming down the pike. Like if once they open up the UK conventions and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised that they're not hinting that they're far along enough that they might hold it back until next year. But if they do, and that hype is still the same after 4 years and stuff, that game is going to outshine, Star Falls. It's going to outside the game I liked on the Xbox was the cross between like Fallout and Vampires. I think it's called Redfall or something like that.
Oh yeah, from Arcane Studios. They did Prey, and then they did the original Dishonored.
Redfall.
It's Redfall.
Okay.
I think that's an interesting thing. I think, and a lot of people didn't catch it in the Star Falls trailer, that they kind of sneaked in there an Easter egg of when their release date was, and it was 11/11/22.
Well, they put it right at the end for Starfield. They then had it at the end 11/22/22. So that is coming next year.
That's interesting. Nintendo turning around and saying Mario Golf will be out next week in its pre-order still. That's interesting.
Well, we knew about that because that got announced. That's been announced.
Yeah.
That got announced a couple of months ago at a direct. So the only thing they did was just kind of remind people, hey, it's coming. It's going to be here in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever.
And they wanted to remind people that the downloadable content is going to be free.
Yeah,
yes.
And the thing for me though is that just actually seeing some of the things you could do.
Yeah.
But I think for
true.
me overall, Nintendo actually took this. It's because I love video games. I've always have, always will. And I'm still playing MLB The Show, by the way, and Aaron pops on all the time on my friends list constantly. But I don't have Game Pass. Yeah, but I don't have Game Pass right now because I can't afford it right now because they freaking bastards. For me though, it's just I like certain games. Now, I don't think EA's at this one this year.
No,
but
they have an EA Play coming next month, I believe. They're doing an EA Play.
So they're probably going to talk about Madden.
If the thing about it is that if they turn around and announce and show gameplay of Fallen Order.
Yeah,
and they did this at E3. If they did this their conference at E3 and did that, it hands down, EA would have won. If Microsoft announced that they have in development another Titanfall game, dude, it would be hands down. The only bad part about the Nintendo stuff that I was like thought it was rehashing because I've already played the game and it's still in my Xbox is the Kakarot game, and then you're giving the DLC that everybody had to pay for free because the fact that it's part of the package. I mean, I was hoping also, and this sounds nostalgic for me, I was hoping they were going to announce Wii games, certain Wii games as part of the Switch options, because if you're going to bring Skyward Sword into it and use the joystick counter, just kind of like the way the Wii is, if you're going to use that setup, why not bring back one of the most popular Wii games of all time in that era when at launch, and bring back Wii Sports and literally bring back the one game. And you could say this and don't say, I don't think they will, the one game that all of you who are watching that know that you were addicted to, Wii Bowling. I mean, come on. Think about how much trash
Yeah.
you were talking about your friends about. You know, imagine how many college students were playing that game, completely obliterated, throwing the controller at the TV by accident. I mean, bring back those types of games where you could interact. Like if I had kids and I was playing Wii Bowling, I would let them just go on all night because of the fact that how fun it is. I mean, if you brought that back to a Switch, you know how many people would come back and remember that. If you're bringing retro games, former things like Skyward Sword and stuff, bring back those too. It would make more sense. But
Yeah, I mean,
overall, I think
I mean,
Nintendo
like
did
what
well.
you're saying, like that is stuff that they should do, and it makes sense. Which is why there's now a thing in the Nintendo fandom called WNDs, Weird Nintendo Decisions, because they'll make really weird choices, and it's just kind of like Nintendo's going to Nintendo. Like it doesn't make like it's like the fact that they added online to Super Mario Party like 3 years after the game came out, and they finally added online is a really like that's a really strange thing. The fact that you still don't have like Nintendo 64 games available on the Switch Online to play. It's the fact that Earthbound still has not gotten added to the Super Nintendo library.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really weird things that Nintendo does that I think part of it is just because they're like, well, we're not competing with Sony and Microsoft. We're doing our own thing, so we don't really need to be kind of playing by the same rules that these guys do. Especially because you've seen Microsoft really work hard on backwards compatibility and being a thing, and and wanting it so that as many games as possible that have ever come out for an Xbox system, you're able to play on the latest thing. And even PlayStation realized, hey, we need to make sure the PS5 is backwards compatible with the PS4, so that all the games that people bought for PS4, they're able to bring with and play. Whereas with Nintendo, every new system, it's like, all right, gonna buy Super Mario Brothers again, gonna buy Super Mario World again, or something. They get you to buy the same game 6 times.
Yeah, and the Super Nintendo library is so huge. There's so much they can use.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just if you give me something that I've been playing for years. They had a game on this. I think it was the Wii. I gotta look it up, but it basically was like a futuristic first-person shooter where you could just upgrade everything, and it was just insane. I can't forget it. It's like
Red
Time
Steel?
Patrol. No, it was like Time Patrol, like Time something or something.
Time Splitters?
Probably.
Because that was never Wii. That was Xbox.
No,
I
they
don't think
had
it's
a
Time
Wii.
Splitters.
I'll look it up.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, like overall, this E3 was. I mean, the fact of the matter is, E3 is never going to be as big as it was 10 years ago. Because 10 years ago, you had everybody there. You had an Activision conference. You had Microsoft and Sony and PlayStation giving press conferences live there on the floor. You had all the stuff. You had the booth babes, and you had game demos set up everywhere, and people and media people there would talk about having to wait in line for a few hours to try the hottest demo games. You're not going to get that. And let's not forget, last year before E3 got canceled, Sony had pulled out of E3 going, we're not going to do it. We're going to do our own thing. The fact that they were able to get so many people back for E3 this year, especially with Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest, which kind of did the job last year, but was so spread out over the summer that by the end of it, people were just tired of seeing conferences and stuff. The fact that they were able to get so many different conferences as it was, and it's all digital, is it's quite a testament. But I mean, Coach Media was bad. It was real bad. It was boring. The reactions video that Kind of Funny Games did for it. Literally, the title was "Do not watch this reactions video," and on the thumbnail was one of the guys, and he looks like he's half asleep. And I watched half of it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" this is really bad. And then you have stuff like the PC Gaming Showcase and the Future Game Showcase, which unfortunately you had a lot of the same games popping up there, and you really didn't have anything new and unique. And then Capcom yesterday, me and Aaron talked about it. Capcom did not need to be putting on a press conference yesterday. They didn't need to have a showcase. And after seeing Nintendo's today, I think the only reason Capcom went ahead with it was because Nintendo said, hey, all this Monster Hunter stuff you want us to showcase, feature, and talk about, we don't have room for it in our Direct. And Capcom's like, okay, well, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about it. We'll put Gummies Eternity Chronicles in there and then decide, all right, well, we can't just have a thing talking about 2 games. Let's say, hey, we started Resident Evil Village DLC, and hey, let's talk about Street Fighter Pro League. And that was it. That didn't need to be a press conference.
Yeah.
I'm still looking for it. Oh, there we go. I found it. The Conduit.
Oh, yeah. That got good reviews, I think. People didn't that get a sequel?
Yeah, it got a second one, but I kind of wish they got a third one because they left the second one in a cliffhanger.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, but then you look at it like Nintendo's bringing back Advanced Wars. Nobody thought that was going to happen. And the thing about is that franchise has been going on since I think actually the Famicom, and they've had different versions of it every time. And it was just on the Game Boy Advance that they finally actually brought it over to the West. And it was always like Famicom Wars, Super Famicom Wars. Like they named it after the system it was on. And so when Game Boy Advance came out, they decided, okay, we'll just go with that. But that was real popular. Nobody thought that was going to come back. Metroid Dread. So here's the thing. That game, when that game was first announced? E3 2003. That is when because it was originally titled Metroid 5, which you saw in there, and it was supposed to be basically a big wrap up of stories that was part of Metroid, Metroid 2 of Return of Samus on the Game Boy, Super Metroid, Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance, and Metroid Dread was supposed to be the 5th one, and it was supposed to wrap up that whole story. And people went years asking about it, asking what's happening with it, until finally people just stopped asking about it because they figured, oh, it's surely dead by now because it's not talked about. And they brought that back, and it's coming out in October. That is insane, and it looks good. It's a game we never thought that we were going to get. Comes out in a few months, and it looks incredible.
I think for me though, it's interesting that they brought Tekken into Smash Brothers too. Right now, I'm literally playing MLB The Show. Not literally, I could be, but I've been playing certain games recently, and Ubisoft themselves has kind of disappoint me. Valhalla, the release of Valhalla was huge. Now everybody's like, why am I not playing it? You've even said it, Anakin. Why haven't played it yet? Yeah. I want to play that not on the Xbox One. I have a 4K TV that has the option in my living room to go up. I want to be able to play it on a really good console because sooner or later they're going to discontinue the Xbox One and everything's going to go to the next console. Mm-hmm. So I want to play on the X playing Valhalla, and even though all the DLC will be out, it's still I want to be able to sit there and play it and enjoy it. I'm really disappointed in Ubisoft. The fact of the matter is that we're going to probably end up getting a game for Assassin's Creed again down the line after Valhalla. But
not this year, though.
No, not this year. But I've been hoping since they've been doing Valhalla and all these stuff and, all different names of it. They stopped with Connor in the third one, which was the American Revolution. I'm hoping they go back to that instead of doing like Origins, Odyssey and stuff, and go back to their roots. Like they squeezed the second one with Enzo literally down to the bare bone. But you have so much there with the American Revolution, what happened in 18 with the 1876 wars, you with the British, you have so much there with the Civil War. You could have.
So you want them to do like the old style Assassin's Creed games before they started with the new style. I'm right there with you, man. I am an old school fan. I enjoyed the first Assassin's Creed game. Love Brotherhood. Revelations, I was like,
yeah. Brotherhood is my favorite.
Really enjoyed 3. Black Flag was amazing. Unity was good, and then I haven't really played much of Syndicate just because at that point I was like, okay, even I'm burned out on Assassin's Creed stuff. But yeah, like the way the games are, I've played probably 10, 12 hours of Origins, and I was just like, this doesn't feel like Assassin's Creed to me. This is not what I'm wanting it.
For me, because I love Viking history, I'm going to play Valhalla. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
But I think the shift, I think the shift of their focus should have been after the third one to go to the Civil War. Because if you're going to follow that bloodline, and even though you killed it off on the third one, you could still continue it because you could just spin it off as Desmond had a child and nobody knew about it.
That almost seems like.
But the thing about it also is that that's Assassin's Creed. If you look at the way the lineage of that family,
yeah. But I mean, like they got around that in Black Flag by they had access to his body. They could pull the DNA, and that's how they got. The main character of Edward Kenway in Black Flag, and like I don't think, and like it's also a thing of like kind of stretching the believability, which I know for Assassin's Creed is absurd because the whole point is you can somehow look into your DNA and access ancestral memories, which is already like a really absurd basis. But the fact that like this one person is related to all these different assassins, like at least like when they started going to different things and like we don't know who the descendant is, it doesn't really matter. They're not important. What matters is the story in the past we're trying to tell. I do wish that they had focused more on the stuff in the present between the present day Templars and Assassins because that was interesting. From what I played of Origins and what I've read about what happens in Odyssey, I know they did get a little bit more back into it, but I for one found that stuff interesting. I know that's not popular. A lot of people did not care for the present day stuff in Assassin's Creed whatsoever, which is fine. But I was like, I actually kind of enjoyed it because I thought it was really cool.
Literally look at the landscape. They've done Italy. They've done Altair, which is Istanbul, that type of era. You've done
Middle
Egypt,
East,
Rome.
Israel.
You've done Greece.
And
where else is them to go other than that? I mean,
can it go Asia? Could it go Asia?
Well, see, people
they have.
The
okay. handheld game they did.
All right. First of all, we're not counting the Chronicle games, sir. Those are not Assassin's Creed games.
But
they're fun, but they're not. People were wanting like a feudal Japan type of game, but the problem is then
assassins are very similar to like how the samurai ninjas are like,
But the thing is that that's basically what Ghost of Tsushima is. That's basically what that is, and
that's a good game too. It's a great game.
Then I can see the team going, we don't really need to do that because they've already done it, and we couldn't do it better.
And they're going to do a sequel for that game.
I hope and I really pray when it comes to the next one, they look at the Civil War and they bring back. And I've seen this. The stealth stuff is not there in Valhalla. I wish they bring that back into, if they do a Civil War, bring that back because then you'll have connections with how Lincoln was assassinated and how all that stuff, and you could ravel into that history. And then keep going from there,
I know if keep going. So that's not a bad idea. How about there is into possibly World War I, World War II.
See, the problem is that then you're getting into like heavy gun stuff, and that's when I think you lose the magic of it. Is because the idea is that
you did the same thing on the third one with with the muskets and stuff like that. But the thing
Kind
is,
of.
with the heavy guns though, you could just make it some way where the character has a limitation to
I mean,
that,
like,
and then goes back to
like,
everything.
I mean, here's the thing.
You also got to be remember in World War One, there were a lot of foxholes, and there are a lot of like ways to go in and out of those foxholes and
Remember,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
Assassin's Creed has a lot of supernatural, a lot of religious stuff, right? Here's the thing:
Yeah.
the Nazis were into that stuff, so World War II could fit with that.
Yeah, I just don't think. I just would not be convinced the gameplay itself would suit for that, because it's the gameplay for Assassin's Creed is very melee focused. And by the time maybe World War One, you could kind of get away with that, but by the time you get to World War II, you're not going to have a whole lot. Because there wasn't a whole lot of melee focused stuff, and I think it would be really hard because then it would feel more like
maybe like a
third
maybe like a Black
shooter.
Ops mission. They have to act like a Black Ops in World War II or World War One or something. Take out this target or something.
So let's talk about Xbox, because you seemed based on the left talk to you seemed like you were disappointed with that conference, which is in stark contrast to myself and Aaron and Tomas Gori, who were on the reactions to that. So let me get your thoughts on the Xbox conference.
It was very disappointing. The only couple of games that I was curious about was that Redfall, the Starfield or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Starfield.
Those two games seem very interesting. But the main focus of the Xbox was completely Halo. Just Halo. Yep. It's like they literally want to bang your head against the wall like a raw freaking script and literally say, here, you're gonna get Halo. This is all you're gonna get, and it's like, come on, give me something else. Because if you're gonna cater to someone who is in a first-person shooter, who likes those types of styles, and also having PvP with it, what's gonna go for me who likes RPGs and likes different types of styles of gaming and stuff like that? What are you gonna?
They announced Outer Worlds 2, which I know that first one I haven't beaten it yet, but Outer Worlds 1 was a fantastic game.
I know Throwback was hoping for Gear 6 like me.
Yeah, and the thing about for me is that the other thing is that they had me with Project Z, which turned into Kakarot, right?
Yeah.
I want something almost like that, but different. I want that style of a game where you could just go in and have a fight and then all of a sudden search and stuff. And the thing is that go look up Rhymestyle. He is a prevalent YouTuber that talks about Dragon Ball anime content. And there was a rumor going around that they were going to do a My Hero Academia Fighters. And if that was actually true, and if that actually happens, I will buy that game. But other than that, I mean, it was very lit down for somebody who's played video games for years, who's a gamer and is now slowly becoming a casual gamer for the most part because, of work and stuff. I am mostly on the mobile aspect of it, but I was really disappointed. I thought there could have been a lot more to it. I thought that they could have if they had idea of announcement of they could say, hey, EA and us are going to release Titanfall in the next, or start working on Titanfall. At least say you're going to start working on something and give us something from an old IP that could actually translate into something different. Now, Titanfall 1 was a success just straight on without having the game itself being like with their campaign mode, right? And then the second one, and they added the campaign mode. They're going along the lines of Xenoverse 2, and that game's still going after so long. I was hoping that they would also try to sneak in something with the Dragon Ball community over there, Toei Shoei and Animation, about having a Xenoverse 3.
I think that's what the Bandai Namco presentation. I think that's where you would have gotten that stuff. I don't think you would have gotten that specifically at the Xbox. Showcase.
They released. They announced the Project Z from Xbox, so I mean, it could have been the same way. It's really disappointing to see them not actually giving their best. They're only going to cater to one certain person that who only can afford an Xbox One, and they're looking towards, oh, well, we have to cater off to the S and the X people and not this. Even though they'll be like, oh, it's back compatible and stuff like that. That's great. But the thing is that for me, if you're going to get me to buy a game, I need to be fully invested in an IP. And there's not really many IPs that I'm very invested right now.
Now, so here's the thing, though, because the thing is the Xbox conference was not about selling you games. It was about it was about selling you the Game Pass service because 27 of the 30 games they showed came to Game Pass. They weren't doing a thing of where you got to buy this game and that game and that game. It's all, hey, 98% of the stuff that you see here, you're going to be able to get on Game Pass. You don't have to pay an additional cent. Back 4 Blood is going to be on Game Pass day one. And Aaron himself said, I was going to get that on PlayStation. Now I don't have to. It's on Game Pass. I don't have to put money down.
But you get what I mean, though, is that if you're going to give me something to actually put money into, like I used a gift card to pay for MLB The Show, right? Yeah. If you want me to put money into it, yes, the Xbox Series X is one I've been wanting to, and I'm going to save up for eventually. And it's kind of hard to get one, obviously, with the chip shortage in the world.
Sure,
But the thing I really want, if you're going to get me into, okay, I absolutely – better yet, here's the story. When they announced the Switch and they announced Mario Odyssey, I was hooked. I wanted to play Mario. I wanted to play a new Mario game and stuff like that. I literally was like, okay, so hopefully we get a new Metroid. We get something different. I have only touched my Switch maybe 3 or 4 times since I've beat Odyssey and Smash Brothers. I want something new. And then now they give me a Metroid Dread just to hold me over till they get me to 4. That will do that. And then now with the Mario Golf games, because I played the tennis and the golf on the 64 and the GameCube and stuff, that will give me something to play. But with the Xbox, I'm primarily playing right now MLB The Show, and you don't have me invested in playing other games. I have Kakarot on the hard drive. The DLCs are already done, except for the new one that just came out. I have MLB The Show. I have games on there. I have Fallen Order. Hell, you and me have been talking about playing the rest of Gears 5. I have those games that I need to, I want to play, but I want more things. I don't want to have to put down MLB The Show, for example, go back into playing a game that I played 5 years ago just because of the fact that Gears 5, I'm literally, you and me are going to be playing that. And then Kakarot, I'm done. I'm pretty much done with. So it's like, where do I go from here? It's,
but again, I think that's what the beauty of Game Pass is. You don't have to put the money down. There's been a lot of games I've tried that are available on Game Pass, like Nier Automata. I heard people talking about that so much. It was on Game Pass. I downloaded it and tried it, and guess what? It wasn't for me. But I didn't have to put the money down. I think and you talk about dumb Nintendo and wanting there to be games, but Nintendo, they're doing that thing of where they want you to put down the money to actually buy the game, to buy the physical game, or to be able to download it. And quite simply, that's not what Xbox is doing. Xbox isn't concerned about you chucking out $60 or $70 for a game. What they want you to be doing is to be spending that. I don't remember if it's $10 or $15 a month or whatever it is for
Ultimate is more. I'm not sure how much Ultimate is.
Yeah, but they want you putting down that money every week, every month, to be subscribed
every week.
Well, yeah, and their whole conference was, hey, here's the reason why you should get it. Here's the reason why you should keep subscribing to it, because they're dropping new games monthly, in some cases even weekly, and you're not gonna have to pay for it. Because I'm telling you right now, when Bad for Blood drops, the three of us need to be playing that down with each other, and I'm not gonna have to chuck out $60 to be able to play it. I can just go to my Xbox and go boop, download, and it downloads.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the Xbox conference.
I think it's funny that right now we're talking to Max Headroom right there as a host. Freaking all pixelated Anakin 8-bit right there.
Yeah, I know. I know. I was wondering. I was like, oh, is that you guys slowing down, or is that me? Let me pop out real quick, and I'll come back in, and I'll see if I'm any better. Then give me a second here. So, you guys go ahead and you talk while I try and fix this.
All right.
I have to laugh at this. I'm sorry, but I mean, think about it. The guy who's co-running on this runs this channel is literally now back in the host spot with my friend here. I honestly think that E3 2022 will be a lot better than this year's. I honestly think that in the long run, with them doing Starfield and then turning around and having the ability to give us a Metroid Prime 4, we'll see more of Breath of the Wild 2 if they haven't finished like DLC stuff. We'll have more stuff for Red Falls and everything like that. I want to be invested in being, and what I mean buying games, I mean like Xbox Game Pass. I want to be able to like pay for Xbox Game Pass and keep paying for it and not on a monthly loop. And I don't want to feel like, well, I played this game. This game looks interesting, but do I really want to have to download it because of the space on it? I mean, I have a terabyte hard drive that's connected to my Xbox One. What am I going to do when it's time for me to go to the new one? I don't want to feel like I'm buying up all this space and using all this space, even if it's free downloading. I mean, think about it. Think about how many games you'll download in a year span. You'll be like, oh, like I'm going to play that. Oh, I want to play that.
I've got so many installed on my hard drive because I have 2 terabyte external. I'm connected. I've got so much stuff downloaded that I haven't even tried, but it's there, and that will come with me to the Xbox Series X, and where if I want to take advantage
I don't have one, right? I don't have external hard drive. So what I do if I want
to take advantage of the SSD, I just got to move it onto the One X hard drive, and then I'll get full advantage of the fast loads. Otherwise, it'll load just like it would on a 1X.
But in the end of the thing, like I'm more reserved about this because you also got to remember, and a lot of people, and I'll break the fourth wall. StreamYard, I'm funding that. The main channel, I'm funding that. All this stuff for the regular shows and stuff, I'm funding it. Giving Anakin and everybody the opportunity to produce stuff. I'm the one backing the majority of that. So, I mean, my money long term, especially owning a house, bills and stuff, I have to pick and choose where to go. It's not like simply it's like, oh, I can go get this. I can play this. No, I have to weigh everything out. Like, I used a gift card to get a game. Now I have to wait and save up money for getting soundproofing for the studio that I'm building. It's kind of like, then after that, I have to figure out, oh, so do I buy this game or do I put money aside to buy a new rig down the line for the show? It's like I have to weigh which way to go. It's not simple as me jumping in and say, I have a $10,000. I can go buy this, and this, and this, and buy a brand new rig and all that stuff. No, it's not as simple as that.
Well, I don't. I'm, working on a limited budget as well, and that's why for me, I've been mainly mainly gaming on my Xbox, and I've been looking at Game Pass and be like, man, I have there's all the stuff that I can download and check out and play and try, and I don't have to worry about it. Like, I was not gonna be chucking out $60 for MLB The Show. I'm not that I bought a copy of MLB The Show for PS4. I think it was like MLB The Show 18, I think it was. And I was just like, if I really wanted to play baseball, I would have just done that instead of paying $60. But MLB The Show 21 was on Game Pass. So it's like, well, I can download that and I'll play a little bit of baseball. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really not good at this game. I know that. And that's why, when I had originally thought of challenging Ray Callahan to a game of this, I was like, wait a minute, that's a bad idea. I'm not good at this. He plays this game
that's the only game he plays, right?
But to me, that's the beauty of Game Pass, and I know that for you, your situation may not be warranted for you to be paying for Game Pass every month. So then you are looking at, okay, what games do I want to buy? And if that's the case, I don't know if Microsoft is going to necessarily be able to give you what you're looking for, because their whole thing is about the value in the service.
If you give
PlayStation might be a better fit for you with their exclusives.
Oh, hell no. But
don't put down PlayStation exclusives. Don't Uncharted and Last of Us. Hey, Microsoft wishes they could have Uncharted on their.
So let me, me though, if worse comes to worse, and I absolutely need a game, am I curious about Halo? Yes. Have I ever played Halo? No. Give me something that I want and I'm interested, like Titanfall. I like the idea of you wall climbing in without having a jetpack or anything and literally killing somebody. But if they're going to do Titanfall, you could keep the campaign mode, but go back to the basic one where it was just straight up online, straight up everything, which pissed a lot of people off. But for me, I absolutely love the fact that I got to level up against people I was playing with live, and it could be anywhere in the world in that moment. Hell, my ex-wife could tell you I was on playing Titanfall for 7 hours straight one time, and I'm epileptic.
I hate to break it to you, man, but I think the only place you're going to get any kind of Titanfall content is in Apex Legends. I think between Apex and Jedi Fallen Order, I think Respawn is a very busy studio. I think they've got a third project they're working on as well. I would not be holding my breath for Titanfall. I played some of the Titanfall 2 campaign. I haven't finished it yet, but I keep hearing that Titanfall 2 campaign is spectacular. It was such an amazing thing.
Good.
And unfortunately, EA screwed themselves with that because they released it right around the time that they released I think Battlefield 1 and a Call of Duty game came out. They did not do Titanfall 2 any favors whatsoever. And that's
not a good time to release a game during those two games.
It's not just it's the fact, it's also the fact that Titanfall and Battlefield are first person shooters put out by the same publisher, and the market was just ended up meeting itself, because you couldn't get good sales numbers for both games because it was a split vote basically for it. But I wouldn't hold my breath on us ever getting a Titanfall 3, and I know a lot of people are sad about that, but I don't think it's going to happen.
And they said the same thing about Metroid Prime 4.
Well, that's true, but the difference with that is that Nintendo does show that they do care about their property and stuff, because Samus has consistently been in Smash Brothers. EA has gotten better, but EA is still all about the numbers. I don't think the other thing too is I don't think Nintendo is a publicly traded company, and EA is. Because I don't ever remember hearing about Nintendo investor calls. I could be mistaken. I could be completely off on that. I have no idea.
We talk more about WWE investor calls than we do Nintendo's. Let's be honest.
Well, exactly, and I think that's the real point right there. But that Nintendo conference was a good one. That was a really good one. They started off real strong. I'm trying to remember now what they even started off with. It's just been so long. What did they start off with, Aaron, on the Nintendo? What did they start with?
Nintendo, Smash Brothers, the Tekken character.
Yes. Now, does that have your interest? Throwback, because you seem like a Tekken guy. You seem like a guy that.
I'm a Street Fighter man.
Oh, you're a
I'm
Street
old.
Fighter guy. So okay, so are you bummed?
Dude, you know who I picked just to piss people off when they did when they did the collection game that they had on the on the what is it, the GameCube, or actually on the Wii, the whole freaking collection where you get every character on something. It's not a Smash Brothers game. I would literally pick.
Yeah.
I'd pick Akuma and literally just hit the button on the GameCube controller and just let him go hammer.
So are you bummed that you never got the Tekken Cross Street Fighter game? Because they got Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Yeah,
I played that one and that was okay. For me though, it's like I'm happy that all these games are going into Smash Brothers. You got a little bit of everything. I'm waiting, even though I have the game and I've played it and won't beat it, I'm waiting for them to get somebody a character where I'm like, oh, I have to play that game.
All right.
And the one character I'm praying now that because of the fact that they have more content from this anime, give me Goku, give me Vegeta. Let's see Vegeta go against Mario. Let's see like these huge anime
the Vegeta and Mario
icons and literally just see like Mario gets souped up in a fireball and does it while Goku hits the Kamehameha. Come on, let's see what happens.
So it's interesting you say that because now there's one Smash Brothers character left that will be added to this, and then they're done. So, and there's been people that have been going, could we get Crash Bandicoot in it? Could we get Master Chief in it?
How do you not make another game for Crash Bandicoot? Like, I know they have the collection, but like seriously,
they did. They made Crash 4. It came out last year.
Oh, Crash 4, but it took so long to Crash.
Well, because there wasn't an interest in it, but then they did the Insane trilogy, and the sales for that were good. And Activision's like, all right, go ahead and do a fourth one. And they made a fourth one, and it came out, and it sold well. But now that studio is off working on Call of Duty. Like, basically, pretty much every studio Activision owns is working on Call of Duty.
Can they change Call of Duty? Because, like, the Call of Duty, to me, is becoming so repetitive. It's like,
that's where Warzone has come in, because Warzone was such a revitalization, for it. It's been, when you talk about top battle royales, it's literally Fortnite and Apex and Warzone.
Yes.
And that's like PUBG doesn't even get mentioned in the conversation anymore. And PUBG started it. They started the whole craze.
What do you think about some of these people, like Xbox and stuff? And I think it was Nintendo hopping on the Among Us train.
It was only a matter of time, I think. Because Among Us just blew up. The fact that Among Us has come into Game Pass that's big. That's a big thing. And again, another reason, like I have it for Steam, and I played it with Warren and some other people a few times. But
I finally played it for the first time with everybody at Love Wrestling, and I literally got owned. So I'm like, why not?
But it takes a little bit.
Warren's always an imposter, right?
What you need to do is watch, like, if you ever find any of Jessamine Duke's Among Us streams on her YouTube channel.
Yeah,
she did several of them several months ago, back in like September, like August or September of last year. But but it was her and Shayna and Mia Yim and Dakota, and had like Dio Madden and Killian Dane and Dijak. Like they'd get and RJ City was a part of it a lot too. Like, and they get a whole group together, and like that's how I really learned
AEW did it
how
too.
to play Among. They do it a lot over AEW, Miro and Evil Uno and.
Were you guys though kind of surprised, speaking of AEW, that we didn't get any glimpses or ideas of
we're getting that on Thursday.
Yeah, they're having a presentation this Thursday.
Yes. I'm not expecting much of it. They're gonna give an update on the casino game, which I'm like, okay, I don't care about that. They're gonna give an update on the beta for the GM mode game, which I was like, okay, I'm more interested in that. And
Nobody cares about that stuff. They only care about the actual game.
And then there are Battle of the Brands has gotten people really interested in GM mode for a game. Like, Battle of the Brands is probably the reason why there's an AEW GM game, is because that did really well, especially that first season. And then they're going to give an update on the console version. I don't think we have a publisher yet. I don't think. I could be wrong. I don't think there's been I don't think they've announced a publisher for it. For it yet. But apparently that game has had like 8 figures poured into it, which could be anywhere from $10 million to $90 million. And there are people that are going, well, why are they putting so much into it? They don't need to be putting that much into it, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, who cares? You're not putting up the money. What do you care? It's not your money that they're spending. But yeah, that's not going to be, we're not going to see that until next year.
So what about, I hope we get something about 2K22.
I don't know. Let me see.
I know they're planning they said they could put GM mode back in that game for 2K22. I know they said that.
Yeah,
but they're gonna have a lot of. I wonder if a lot of the wrestlers that put in that game actually got released, and they're like, "Oh shit."
Probably. That's. I mean, the same thing happened last year with Battlegrounds, because that had the Good Brothers in it, and they were released. So yeah,
they usually scan,
looking on,
they usually scan the wrestlers before WrestleMania usually.
Yeah, looking at the AEW game site, it just says it's in development by Ukes. It does not list a publisher, so they could choose to self-publish it, which wouldn't be surprised. More likely, they will try to find a publisher to work with. Obviously,
Mega Productions.
It's obviously not going to be Take-Two, because they got the WWE 2K game, so they're not going to do it. But I mean, it could be. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Activision, like somebody like them, tried to be like, hey, let us publish it.
As long as they don't get EA involved, because when EA made their wrestling games back in the 90s for WCW, those games were terrible.
Yeah, but EA wouldn't be the ones making it. All they're doing is putting up is saying, hey, we're gonna get it so that it's published on the platform. We'll handle the marketing. They're not. They would. Publishing doesn't necessarily mean they have anything to do with making the game, because they don't own Ukes. That wouldn't surprise me. So, what did you think of the Guardians of the Galaxy game? Did you see that?
I saw the trailer for it. I'm not really into that stuff. I think like watching Aaron for all the times he plays Spider-Man's okay. But
I'm looking for that's gonna be great. That's gonna be coming to Switch though, which apparently is gonna be done on the cloud. And I'm like, ooh, that's probably gonna be rough, because Control did not play very well on the Switch with the cloud gaming.
I'm hoping like if they're doing all these games back, they could give us something good that they can. And like Skyward Sword, I'll be honest, I played that game on the Wii and I beat that game, and it's really good. But I don't want to buy it again and play it again when I already finished it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I've never played it, so.
Oh, I played it to death, literally. And just for me, I might end up going back, because I'm halfway through Breath of the Wild, but I might just pop back in on that just to kill some time before the new one comes. But for me, I want something good, and that Metroid game seems great. But I think for right now, for the short term, I'll invest my time and my money into the Mario Golf. The Mario Party stuff, I'm not really huge into, anyways.
Oh, you must not have played it. You must not have played that with friends back in the day, because the fact that they're bringing back, and I mean, I'm bummed it's only five boards from Mario Party 1 through 3, but the Nintendo 64, those were the best Mario Party games. And I'm hoping they bring in eventually, like, they'll add more, and they bring in the one from I remember the boards from 1 the most. I hope they bring in the one from 1 where you're like the star doesn't move, but it's always there in the middle at like the top of like Peach's tower, but you have to travel all the way around. But Peach's castle or Peach's cake, that was a really fun map. That's gonna be a good one.
Well, we're rounding at the end of the top of the hour.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna say with this E3, with me now, since some of the games I want are gonna be like free on Game Pass, especially Back 4 Blood, I'm gonna go through a list of games I plan to buy that you only could buy. For example, Guardians. You know, our Anakin. You know, I was not happy with Guardians. But it still looks fine to me. The game looks fine to me. I'm just not happy that you only play as Star-Lord. But I'll probably still buy it. So I'm just going to look at the list of games that, I have to buy, whether it's for PlayStation or Xbox. But some of the games I wanted, they're going to be on Game Pass. So it kind of changes my my list a bit.
So to wrap it up, we've been doing this for all the conferences. Let's do it for E3 as a whole. On the old Meltzer scale, our favorite scale for rating.
God, don't do that. Let's just... we ain't doing Meltzer. Let's just go and leave on a high note.
What would you rate this E3 overall? 1 to 5? 2? 2. I'd probably go 3.25. I was really high on. See, the Xbox and Nintendo got me and Guardians got me really high, and then the rest of Square Enix and all of Ubisoft and Capcom really brought me down. But overall,
Capcom really brought it down for me. If you didn't show Capcom, I probably would give it a same rating as you.
Yeah. Well, for Throwback 27 and Aaron Entertainment, I am Anakin JMT. We are the Wicked Crazy Crew. Be back Thursday night, youtube.com/throwback27 at 8 o'clock, or here on twitch.tv/throwback978 for the Wicked Crazy, the Pinfall channel, where we will talk all about wrestling and the week that was. But until next time, we will see you later.